The conception of God and the meaning of prayer. We have seen that the judgment based upon religious experience fully satisfies the intellectual test. The more important religions of experience examined with an eye on a synthetic view, reveal as the ultimate ground of all experience, originally directed, creative, via which we have found the reasons to describe as an ego, in order to emphasize the individuality of ultimate ego and the Quran gave him the proper name of Allah and further defines him as follows. Say, Allah is one, all things depend on him. He begins not, and he is not begotten, and there's none like unto him. But it is hard to understand what exactly is an individual, as Bergson has taught us in his creative evolution. Individuality is a matter of degrees and is not fully realized even in the case of the apparently close or unity of the human being. In particular, it may be said of individuality, it may be said of individuality, says Bergson, that while the tendency to individuate is everywhere present in the organized world, it is everywhere opposed by the tendency towards reproduction. For the individuality to be perfect, it would be necessary that no detached part of the organism could live separately. But then reproduction would be impossible. For what is reproduction but the building up of a new organism with a detached fragment of the old? Individuality, therefore, harbors its own enemy at home. In the light of this passage, it is clear that the perfect individual, clothed off as an ego, peerless and unique, cannot be conceived as harboring its own enemy at home. It must be conceived as superior to the antagonistic tendency of reproduction. This characteristic of the perfect ego is one of the most essential elements of Quranic conception of God. And the Quran mentions it over and over again, not so much with a view to attack the current Christian conception and accentuate its own view of a perfect individual. It may, however, be said that the history of religious thought discloses various ways of escape from an individualistic conception of the ultimate reality, which is conceived as much as some vague and pervasive cosmic element, such as light. This is the view that Barnell has taken in his goal for lectures on the attributes of God. I agree that the history of religion reveals modes of thought that tend towards pantheism, but I venture to think that insofar as the Quranic identification of God with light is concerned, Farnell's view is incorrect. The full text of the words of which he quotes a portion only is as follows. God is the light of heavens and of the earth. His light is like a liquor in which is a lamp. The encased is in a glass, the glass as it were a star. No doubt the opening sentence of the verse gives the impression of an escape from an individualistic conception of God. But when we follow the metaphor of light in the rest of the verse, it gives such the opposite impression. The development of metaphor is meant rather to exclude the suggestion of a formless cosmic element by sexualizing the light in a defined state. Personally, I think the description of God as light in the revealed literature of defined star of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, I think the description of God as light in the revealed literature of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam must now be interpreted differently. The teaching of modern physics is that the velocity of light can be exceeded and is the same for all observers, whatever their own system of movement. Thus, in the world of change, light is the nearest approach to the absolute. The metaphor of light as applied to God. Therefore, must, in view of modern knowledge, be taken to suggest the absoluteness of God and not his omnipresence, which easily lends itself a pessimistic interpretation. There is, however, one question which will be raised in this connection. Does not individuality imply finitude? If God is an ego and is such an individual, how can we conceive him as infinite? The answer to this question is not God can't be conceived as infinite in the sense of spatial infinite, infinity. In matters of spiritual valuation, mere immensity counts for nothing. Moreover, as we have seen before, temporal and spatial infinites are not absolute. Moreover, as we have seen before, temporal and spatial infinites are not absolute. Modern science regards nature not as something that situated in an infinite void, but a structure of interrelated events out of whole mutual relations arise the concepts of space and time. And this is only another way of saying that space and time are interpretations which thought puts upon the creative active of ultimate ego. Space and time are possibility of the ego, only partially realized in the shape of our mathematical space and time. Beyond him and apart from his creative activity, there is neither time nor space to close him off in reference to other egos. The ultimate ego is therefore neither infinite in the sense of spatial infinity nor finite in the sense of space bound. Human ego, whose body closes him off in reference to other egos. The infinity of the ultimate ego consists in the finite, infinite inner possibilities of his creative activity, of which the universe, unknown to us, is only a partial expression. The universe, the universe as known to us is only a spatial expression. In one word, God's infinity is intensive, not extensive. It involves an infinite series, but it's not that series. The other important elements in the Quranic concept of God from a purely intellectual point of view are creativeness, knowledge, omnipotence, and eternity. I shall deal with them serially. Finite minds regard nature as comforting other existing person, which the mind knows but doesn't make. We are thus apt to regard the act of creation as a specific past event, and the universe appears to us as a manufactured article which has no organic relation to the life of its maker, and of which the maker is nothing more than a mere spectator. All the numerous theological controversies about the idea of creation arise from this narrow vision of the finite mind. Thus regarded, the universe is a mere accident in the life of God and might not have been created. The real question which we are called upon to answer is, does the universe come from the God as his other, with space intervening between him and it? The answer is that from the divine point of view, there is no creation in the sense of a specific event having a before and an after. The universe cannot be regarded as an independent reality standing in opposite to him. This view of the matter will reduce both God and the world to two separate entities, confronting each other in the empty receptacle of the infinite space. We have seen before that space, time, and the matter are interpretations which thought puts on the free creative energy of God. They are not independent realities existing per se, but not intellectual, the only intellectual modes of apprehending the life of God. The question of creation was arose among the descriptors of the well-known Saint Bede. Yet just obeys one thus describes very pointless for the common sense musing. There was an there was a moment of time when God existed, and nothing else exists behind him. The saints reply, what equally pointed? It is just the same now, said he, as it was taken then, the word of matter. Therefore, it is in its real nature one continuous act which thought break up into a plurality of mutually exclusive things. Professor Eddington has thrown further light on this important point, and I take the liberty to quote from book Space, Time, and Gravitation. We have a world of point events with their primary interrelations. Out of these, an ultimate number of more complicated relations and qualities can be built up mathematically, describing various features of the state of the world. This exists in nature in the same sense as unlimited number of works exist on an open door, open wall. But the existence is, as it were, latent unless someone gives a significance to the work by following it, and in the same way, the existence of any one of the parties of the world only acquires significance about its fellows. Its mind singles it out for recognition. Mind filters out matter from the meaningless jumble of quality, and the prince filters out the colors of the rainbow from the chaotic oscillations of white light. Mind explores the permanent and ignores the transitory, and it appears from the mathematical study of relations that the only way in which mind can achieve her object is by picking out one particular quality as the permanent substance of the perceptual world. Fashioning a perceptual time and space for it to be permanent in and as a necessary consequence of his Austin's choice. The laws of gravitation and mechanics and geometry had to be obeyed. It is too much to say that the mind search for permanence has created the world of physics. The last sentence in this page is one that depicts the thing in Professor Edison's book. The physics has yet to discover by his own method that the passion show our apparently permanent world of physics, which the mind has created in its search for permanence, rooted in something more permanently unsavable only as a self which alone combines the opposite attributes of its impermanence, and can thus be regarded as both constant and variable. There is, however, one question which we must answer before we proceed further. In what manner does the creative activity of God process the work of creation? The most orthodox and still popular school of mostly technology, theology, I mean the Assurite, hold that the creative method of diving energy is atomic, atomic, and they appear to have based the doctrine on the following words of Cure. And no one thing there but with us are its store horses, and we stand it not down but in fixed quantities. Thank you very much.